Will you fit? No. Okay, you fit there. Good job. Good job, board game. Hello everyone, welcome back to Foster the Meeple, a channel all about board games and board gamey things. I'm back again today with another preview video. Today's preview video is on The Mix from Ruse Games, who very kindly sponsored today's video. Now, as per usual with my preview videos, this is not an official how to play. I will not be covering all of the rules. It more so serves as a general overview to help you figure out whether or not this game is a good fit for you. There are a few things to note. Number one, this is a prototype, and that means that anything you see is subject to change. Things have not been finalized in this game yet. The game will be coming to Gamefound, so if you're interested in it, I'm going to have the links and everything that you need to know in the description below. So if you see this and you're like, yep, that sounds super fun, well, you could click the link and you could go and back it, and that'll be great. So you could do that if you want to. So without further ado, I say we dive in and learn a little bit more about The Mix. Welcome to The Mix, a flavorful blend of resource management, worker placement, and engine building, all set inside the vibrant and demanding world of cocktail creation. As a young recruit at the prestigious Foxtrot Bar, your goal is to craft perfect drinks, satisfy demanding clients, and climb the ladder of mastery in both technique and experience. The game will end once 15 clients' orders have been collectively completed, and the player with the most victory points will be crowned the ultimate mixologist. But what does any of that mean? I am so glad you asked. Let's take a closer look at how the mix works. So before we get into it, of course, let's take a look at the table. Now, technically, I have set up for a 4-player game, but for the purpose of saving space, I only have one player's player board out. Just so you know, this is my player. You can also be the blue player, the black player, and the white player. So these are the different options, and each of the characters come with 2 different cards. You will select one to use on your player board. All right, so we have the mix board, which has a lot of stuff going on. We also have ingredients over here and experience, and we have penalty tokens, and we have these little glasses here. We have bar expansions, we have orders and techniques and money and so many other things. But this is the general setup. Now let's walk through how a round will play out and what you'll do on your turn. On your turn, you'll perform one main action by placing one of your mixologists on an available action space. This really is the heart of your strategy. You can also perform one additional action per turn, and you could do this either before or after your main action, which will give you some flexibility to fine-tune your turn or set up future moves. The first action that you could take is to take a client card. To do this, you will place your mixologist on your main board in the new client section. When you do this, you're going to take a client from the main board depending on your technique die level. Now, this is our technique die right here. We are currently at level 1. Everyone starts at level 1, meaning we can take a level 1 client, which are these cards right here. The higher your technique, the more complex the cocktails are that you can attempt. So when you do this, you're going to place your client card, and I have a little Irish coffee. So when you do this, you're going to take the client card that you want with a glass on your player board, and then we're immediately going to gain its instant bonus. The instant rewards are highlighted right here at the bottom where you see the lightning bolt, which indicates instant benefit. Since we're talking about client cards, maybe this is a good time to actually take a closer look at how they are set up. So here in the top, we have the required technique level that we'll need to actually make this cocktail. Then we have, of course, the cocktail and its name, the instant benefits, which are down here in the bottom left-hand corner, the amount of a tip dice we're going to get to roll, how much money we'll make off of it, the ingredients that are required, and on this side we get the setup rewards, which we'll talk about in a little bit. The next action you can take is to take ingredients from the supply, which is this section right here. To do this, you'll place your mixologist and take 2 different ingredients from the bar supply and add them to your board. Ingredients are essential to crafting cocktails. So, as an example, I can see here right now I've got this Irish coffee, and I can look at the ingredients that are currently available. So I know that I need one of these green ones, and I need 2 gray. So I might want to take some of these. And then I've added them over to my board. The next action that we have here is to take a tip die. So you can add an additional tip die from the main board all the way up here and put it onto your player board. So we have space for 4 die here. Next action is to prepare a cocktail. This is where the magic happens. You're going to place a mixologist, spend 1 shaker, which are these little shaker tokens right here, and then discard the required ingredients from your client's glass. So one thing I didn't mention, when you take ingredients, you can put them to your board, or instead you can put them in your glass. Okay, because we're mixing up a drink. Well, it's shaken, not stirred. Okay, to prepare a cocktail, we have to have all the required ingredients in that client's glass in order to be able to actually prepare the cocktail, and we need to have a shaker. So if I had collected all of the ingredients that was required for this Irish coffee and I had a shaker, then I could take this action to prepare a cocktail. Okay, so we're going to spend all of this. We are going to discard the required ingredients back into the supply, which is over here, which is different from the ingredients on the board, but we'll get to that. Then what we're going to do is we're going to look at this card. We will gain the amount of money showing on the card. In this case, it would be $5. Plus, we are then going to roll our tip dice. And each of the tip dice shows a value from 0 to 3. So this one's saying you can roll 1 tip die. So that is stating that I would get an additional $2. This is really just to show how generous or how stingy your patron is. The total will be added to your earnings, and the completed card is placed beside your board as proof of your growing reputation. The next action is to acquire a technique card. So to do this, you can spend 1 shaker to take a technique card and place it in one of the 3 technique spaces below your player board. Then you're going to increase your technique die by 1. Technique cards often provide strong ongoing effects, and they can improve your efficiency. The technique cards are found over here on the right side of the board. So maybe I might want to get better. Oh, never mind. I want to get better at flair. That sounds even better than straining. So I would spend my shaker. I would take this. I would put this here. And then you are going to increase your technique die by 1. Now, like we said, the technique cards are going to give some additional ongoing effects. In this case of flair, it says during setup, which is a step we'll take later. But just so you know, during setup, I could do 2 things. I could do the same thing twice or 1 of each. Gain $2 or gain a shaker. So during setup with this card, I could gain $4 or I could gain 2 shakers, $2 and a shaker, whatever I want to do there. So that's going to go right at the bottom of the board. Technique cards, like I said, they're really just helping you to improve your skills. Next main action here is to acquire shakers. So to do this, you're going to place your mixologist on the action spot and simply take 1 shaker from the supply, which we have right up here. This is a small but vital boost because you really need shakers, okay? We need to be moving and shaking. Just FYI. Now I will mention some of these actions can be taken as many times during a round as you can. So there will be a little infinity sign. However, some of them are limited to once per round. Specifically here, getting a tip die is once per round and gaining a technique card. So just pay attention to what actions you can do and how often you can do them. You can also take main board actions, like I mentioned, such as refreshing the client cards on the main board. To do so, you will need to place one of your workers, your mixologists, onto that particular space. When you do this, you're going to need to spend a shaker. Remember when I said those shakers were really important? In order to clear the bottom row of the client cards. When we do this, let's just do it, we're going to shift everything down, and then we will refill the top row. And you're going to gain 2 victory points, and the victory point tracker is right here to the side of the board. Now you can also take an action in order to refill the empty ingredient spaces. So we would grab from over here, and you're just going to refill all of the empty spaces. And you're also going to get 2 victory points for doing that. Another action you could potentially take is to add bar space to your player board. Now, once you've reached experience level 1, you could spend a shaker to add an additional bar space to your player board, which will expand your capacity for cocktails and ingredients. And you're probably thinking, how the heck do we even get experience? Really glad you asked. So anytime that we are completing cards, we are essentially filling client orders. So we're going to be moving the trackers up on this board. So if I completed 1, I would go here. Now this little fox is actually tracking how many everybody has done collectively, so he would also be here. Now for moving further through the game and completing more of these cards, let's just say I hit number 2. This little symbol here is indicating that you have hit your experience level 1. The icons on the bottom are player specific, so you'll get those when you pass them. For experience levels, you're actually going to have a selection of these different experience tiles. So you'll actually be able to take one, and you're going to put them right here in this spot on your board. That's how you reach the different experience levels, and the fox, like I said, is going to be moving collectively. Let's just say this is a situation. So we have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. The fox would actually be all the way up here to 9 because the endgame trigger is the collectively we've all done 15 client orders. And whenever the fox passes over these icons, everybody is going to get those things. Okay, perfect. So the extra bar space are these tokens here essentially, and we're just going to slide everything down and boom. You can add one just like that, and now you can have 2 client orders going at once. All right. Now, like I mentioned, you take one main action, but either before or after your main action, you can take an additional action. Your additional action gives you tactical flexibility, essentially, in the game. So for the additional actions, one of them is to pay 2 shakers to take 1 ingredient from the bar supply, which is this board up here. You can buy ingredients from the store for $5 each, which is this board right over here. And once again, everything's kind of listed. Everything's listed out on the board as well that tells you kind of what you need to do. You can also pay 1 shaker to refresh the client cards. You can pay $5 to gain 1 shaker because every good bartender needs energy, and shakers are essentially energy. Or you can exchange 2 identical ingredients that you have for any 1 ingredient from the store. You can only perform 1 of these per turn, but timing them right can make all the difference. Now, once you've placed all of your mixologists, you don't take another turn. Instead, on your next turn, you'll form what's called the setup phase. And this is where your engine really activates. Now, this could trigger at different times for different people, because everybody's going to start with their 3 mixologists, but when you gain your second experience, you actually get a 4th mixologist. So the timing for that means that some people could get their 4th mixologist before others. So how this works is you're actually going to follow the setup track on your player board, which is just right down here. The first thing that you're going to do is activate your completed client's cards, gaining rewards or bonuses. Now, the setup phase symbol is this little like 2 arrow symbol. So this is showing that I have something that I can activate during the setup phase. So this card is saying I could take an ingredient from the store and I gain 1 shaker. The next, so that would be this one. The next one here is to activate your bar spaces and technique cards. Okay, so you'll see down here, bar spaces also have different triggers, and these additional bar spaces are all different. This one here is saying gain $1, a shaker, and a victory point. And this one is saying gain $2. So just do whatever they say on the bottom of them. Next is to activate your technique cards. So here we have a technique card down in the bottom of our board. Then the next section is to pay upkeep. So it's not free to run a bar, everybody knows that. So you have to actually pay to keep it running. You'll have to pay $2 for each bar space, $2 for your third technique card, which is also outlined on the board, and $2 if you have a third ingredient in your supply. Once again, it's also written out on the board. And if you can't pay, then you have to take a penalty token, which are those red X tokens up in the top that I can't reach. And those, of course, are going to be negatively impacting you at the end of the game. Next thing you're going to do is retrieve all of your mixologists so you're ready for a new round. Then you'll refill 1 ingredient type of your choice in the supply. Your setup is the moment your combos kind of chain together. It's what turns small efficiencies into well-oiled cocktail machines. And a big part of that is going to be being a little bit like choosy on the clients that you're taking, the techniques that you're learning, and trying to get everything to kind of run well together. Like I've already mentioned, each time someone completes a client order, both their individual and collective progress will advance on the client track, which is what we were talking about a little bit earlier. Once that collective total reaches 15 or 9 in a 2-player game, everyone will finish their round and 1 final setup. Then it's time for final scoring. So here's how final scoring works. For every $2, you'll gain a victory point. For every shaker you have left over, you'll gain a victory point. For every ingredient you have, victory point. Your technique die's value will give you that many victory points. Plus, you'll get victory points from your clients, techniques, and experience collection cards. The mixologist with the highest total will be crowned the winner of the mix. One thing I forgot to mention, because they're so far away from my face, we also have the collection cards, and these are going to be different ways that you're going to be able to score more points at the end of the game based on whether or not you've achieved any of these things. Okay, so lots going on, but it's a bit of a well-oiled machine because everything you do kind of makes sense. You know that you need to get a client and you know they're ordering a drink, so you need to make sure you have all the ingredients. You got to have a glass and you need to have a shaker because that's how you make drinks. And also, who doesn't want to get better at their job? You need to learn some techniques. Resource management is huge also. Lots going on. But that is generally how it works. Now your question might be, who is this game for? The mix is perfect for players who enjoy Euro-style games with a twist. Literally. If you love worker placement with a strong sense of progression, engine building where your bar setup and upgrades chain into satisfying turns, strategic resource management and planning ahead, or if you simply love games with thematic immersion and gorgeous cocktail art, then the mix will absolutely hit the spot. Grab your shaker, line up your glasses, and get ready to shake, stir, and strategize your way to becoming the top mixologist at Foxtrot Bar. Because if you don't do it, I will. This drink is called Monkey Brain. Yuck. So my friends, that is a little bit about the mix from Ruse Games. And once again, if you are interested in backing this game on Gamefound, I will have the links. Everything you need to know will be in the description below. As always, make sure that you look at the page, you read the rules, you look at videos, you do your research to make sure that this game is a good fit for you. Now, if you're interested in buying board games, you should first start by checking out your friendly local gaming store, and for us, that's the Boardroom Game Cafe. And if you like what you see, please subscribe. I hope to see you again soon, and now I say goodbye. Goodbye!